Hey guys, Matthew here with Liquid Porcelain Technology, bathtubrenew.com. I get asked by a lot of different refinishers, how do you make your tub super smooth like I see in your videos? There's no secret. I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I do it, how I think about how I should thin my resins and coatings out so it goes on effortlessly smooth. You shouldn't have to fight with it. You shouldn't have to fight with orange peel. You shouldn't have to fight with runs. This is how I do it. So we've got our resin in our gun. This is our gun head. Now we have to understand how things are actually, the mechanics of how the coating goes in the gun and how it's sprayed, okay? This process of the gun spraying the coating is called atomization. This is when it breaks the coating up into little droplets. Now we're going to talk about something right here that's very important about these little droplets that come out and spray. Right here is a big droplet that I made. I blew it up and I'm going to explain what's going on here. So we've mixed our resin 4:1 to 3. This is what I like to spray at. Sometimes if it's a larger job, like it's a tub, a tile, and it wraps around the entire bathroom, I want to have a little bit of extended wetness on the coat, on my last coat. So let's say we put 3 coats on a job and now we put 4 coats on, we're going to put 4 coats on it. That 4th coat is going to, let's say we look at it like this. We got 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coat. So now we're going to put our 4th coat on top of it. All of our solvent in this coat is going to start to absorb into those 3 other coats. And then you can kind of have to fight with a little bit of dry spray. It won't melt into as nice. It won't lay out. So sometimes I'll go to 4, only on my last coat. And I'll be very mindful on how I'm spraying so that I don't, load it too much. So now that we've mixed our resin, this is our gun. I'm not a very good artist, but this is the best way I could explain it. We put it in our gun. It's atomizing the coating. And now we have this big droplet here. And for argument's sake, we're going to say that this droplet is 50% solids. Even though it's liquid, when it cures, when it dries, it's going to shrink down 50% because we have put in in-flight solvents and tail solvents in this. Now, what I like to make my own solvents. I don't order my own solvents from any of the companies out there because I have to pay to ship everything in where I'm at. If you don't have to pay to ship, into where you're at, use their reducers, use their thinning agents. It's engineered for their coating. It's going to work better. Then you don't have to do the trial and error of testing all these different resins to make sure it's going to work. But that's what I've had to do. So this is what I like to do. I do 50% xylene, 50% MEK. In the wintertime, I might use this. In the summertime, I might use more xylene, maybe 75% xylene. So I might do 75% xylene. This is a fast solvent, this is a slower solvent. So we're going to give them a rating. So if acetone has a rating of 0, MEK probably has a rating of 1, and xylene being slower has a rating of 8. Now this is going to come into this equation right here, what we're going to talk about when we have this topic about solvents and how it impacts the entire droplet when you spray it. As this flies through the air during your atomization process, some of these solvents that is in this droplet is going to evaporate. That is called in-flight solvents. During the flight of the atomization of the droplet, it evaporates. And then when it hits your substrate, what is left over of the solvent in the droplet is called tail solvents. It's the tail end of the atomization. It's hid into the substrate. So this is what's happening. As you're spraying into your job, and we're going to say this is the bottom part of the tub or the bottom part of whatever you're spraying, the droplets are going to land on it like this. We need to have enough tail solvent in that coating to make them move after they land and go like this. This is called flow. If you put, let's say, a super fast solvent in here, you basically have 100% in-flight solvent. By the time the droplet hits the panel, there's almost no tail solvent left in it. The only tail solvent that you're going to have is in the actual resin itself, which they do have a little bit of tail solvent. They do have solvent in the resin. It wouldn't be liquid if they didn't. It's going to retain the droplet size when it hits the substrate. It's not going to flatten out to a nice flow particle like that, a nice flow droplet. You're going to have to load it. So you're going to put more on. So you're going to have this big, huge, heavy coat sitting there. And this is how you get your runs. And it's still, you want a nice smooth surface like this. What you end up getting is you end up getting a surface that looks like this. Not like this. Because you didn't have enough tail solvent in here to make it flow out nice. Now, in this part of the particle, when it hits your substrate, so we're gonna say it's a wall. And the particles hit and they're round like this. And they start to flow and it looks like this. If you have too much solvent, too much tail solvent, what will happen is it will, here's your substrate, it will start to elongate on top. And we've all seen this. If you put too much on, or you used a super slow reducer, or you were spraying in a place that was really cold, the furnace was broken, you showed up, you had to do a job. Oh, the furnace is broken, by the way. Oh, great. And you start to get like little hangers like that. It's because there is too much tail solvent sitting in this droplet when it hit the substrate. So what I have found that works best is to use this formula right here, which would also be called a medium reducer. Medium reducer, mix it 4 to 1 to 3, maybe 4. And then your droplets, when they hit the substrate, they're going to elongate like that. And you're not going to have any runs. It's going to lay super smooth. This part of the resin has characteristic of memory. It wants to lay a certain way. It doesn't want to run. It doesn't want to fisheye. It wants to lay nice and smooth and flat. It doesn't want to do this. It wants to lay completely flat every time, whether it's on a vertical surface or a horizontal surface. That's the way these resins are designed, so that they lay flat. If you put too much in-flight solvent in it, it won't lay flat because it won't be able to move. If you put too much tail solvent in it, it will flow too long and too much, and then you'll have other problems. You could get fish eyes. Why? Because the coating's staying open so long. Could get runs because it's flowing too much. So there's a happy medium that you play, and you have to kind of figure out and customize to how you spray. And this is what I found that works for me. This right here. I hope that kind of helps you guys understand how I get to spray super smooth and I don't have to fight with it. You have to get the solvent blend to work for you, not work for the solvent. Okay, guys, check out my next video. I'm going to talk about overlap pattern, and that will come into play a little bit about this as well too.